now be as open-hearted as he could about what he just went through. And look, what does LeBron James do best? It's sort of what you'd call the separation of church and state, where LeBron can be equally passionate with Kyrie about Black Lives Matter, the issues in the Oval Office, all the things that we've all been facing, both people of all colors in this country. And yet LeBron can, as Kyrie said, there's a separation that you need to achieve. LeBron can separate.
Yes.
I want to take a moment before we begin this program to reflect on just the historic moment that is today. And so let's bring in Nancy Cordes, who is right there on the platform, just feet away from where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in. Nancy.
And Nora, as more lawmakers begin to file in, what's so interesting is we're seeing Democrats and Republicans begin to feel one another. So interesting, Republicans who challenged the results of the election just a couple of weeks ago now appears to be in a celebratory mood. And what's so interesting about this setting is that because the attendance is so limited this time around due to coronavirus, due to the security situation, it has a much more intimate feel than inaugurations past. We're used to seeing that sea of people here on the Mall. Remember President Obama's inaugural, Nora, where there were so many people trying to get in, they got stuck in the tunnels and they couldn't actually make it onto the Mall. This time around, it just feels quiet. It feels reverent. And of course, they had the brilliant idea of filling them all up with these 200,000 flags so it wouldn't look empty. You've got people from all 50 states and the territories being recognized by all the American flags and state and territory flags that have been set up there. We are expecting the president-elect, the vice president-elect to arrive just a short time from now. Instead of coming in through the carriage entrance on the east front, the way that presidents normally do, this time they're going to be coming right up the east steps of the Capitol, and they're going to be flanked by Capitol Police. I'm told that that is meant to symbolize the respect and the appreciation that not just the administration but also lawmakers have for the Capitol Police, especially after so many of them risked their lives to protect lawmakers and the current Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. The Capitol was being stormed a couple of weeks ago. So many Capitol Police officers were injured, 2 lost their lives, and so this picture of them flanking the President-elect of the United States as he arrives here at the Capitol to be sworn in is meant to show respect to those of them.
Nancy Cordes, thank you. And we just saw former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama enter there on the east front of the Capitol. There will be 3 former presidents. 3 out of the 5 living former presidents will be there today. Jimmy Carter and his wife will not be attending, in part because of their age and the coronavirus pandemic. And President Trump is the first since Andrew Johnson to boycott his successor's inauguration.
One note on that, while we know he's on his way out of Florida, our White House unit passes along that the outgoing president has left a letter for his successor in the Resolute desk at the Oval Office. Aides tell CBS News. Apparently among those that encourage the president.
And there you see the former First Lady and Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton arriving, and we'll likely see Bill Clinton on the other side of that car as they arrive as well. It's been noted on that point, even though she lost to Donald Trump, she did attend his inauguration.
Just real quick, that among those that encouraged the outgoing president to leave a note, we're told, was the House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, who said that to do so would be a good idea.
A lot of encouraging lately from
a lot of encouraging lately.
I was going to say, what does that say that you have to be encouraged to do the right thing, you know?
Look at this majestic, beautiful sight on the Washington Mall.
And it strikes me that, since we're speaking in Catholic terms today, that this is an exorcism of the 6th of January. That what we're seeing today is an ejection of the insurrection and the showing up of the former presidents, even the letter in the desk, is little by little replacing and pasting over with, and this is the point of inaugurations, with the American tradition.
Well, we saw that from McConnell yesterday, beginning of sorts of the exorcism by saying that there were lies planted in people's heads, that it was provoked by Donald Trump. But isn't the ultimate exorcism a conviction by the Senate?
Possibly. I mean, that will certainly be a part of a verdict rendered by the institution of Congress as to the president's underlying behavior and the malicious result thereof. I'm not sure it's an exorcism quite yet. Talking to Fran Townsend, talking to Ralph Basham, who was the Special Security, the U.S. Secret Service in charge of the 2005 inauguration. I said, when do we take the fences down? And they said, we don't know. I asked Adam Kinzinger, House Republican, who voted to impeach the president. He said, it might take us a year. When do we take the fences down from around the Capitol? Everyone who's up there, and I'm so glad that Nancy mentioned this intimacy, because typically inauguration is a scramble for the best ticket, and Washington has also been people tendencies in that direction.
Yes.
But like the country itself, we've adapted and tried to figure out what really matters most. And what matters most is this moment that's larger than each individual person there and the intimacy therein. But it's going to be up to every single member of Congress to help this country figure out when we take the fences down. Their rhetoric and their attitude about this moment and our role in history is going to depend on them. And then we can say to ourselves, well, when do we stop feeling nervous about our countrymen? They're going to have a lot to say about when that moment comes.
It's very interesting when Joe Biden first announced that he was running, he said that what's at stake is the soul of the nation. The soul of the nation is at stake. And Larry Hogan said the other day, the Maryland governor said, what's now at stake is the soul of the Republican Party. What are they going to do? What is going to be their next move? John, I wanted to pick up on something that you said. You said it's sort of like a do-over. A friend recently explained it to me. It sort of gave this analogy that it's like New Year's Eve, but we just got the date wrong. Now we're starting all over again. It's a brand new chapter for all of us.
Well, it's a reset. I mean,
That's what I mean, yeah, a reset.
And Major's exactly right. It does not exercise all of the poison in the system, but just symbolically, because it takes place at the very location of the insurrection.
On CBS News right now,
Is
I'm
to
gonna
slowly
switch it
reset
to
the basic values and structures of America.
Fox News. This is CBS News.
That's what is happening here. The former presidents showing
So let's
up.
change to the Fox
All
News,
the
America's
symbolism
Newsroom,
is in it.
Bill Hammer. See what they say.
Clear why the other 10 were pulled. Here's Pentagon spokesman Jonathan Hoffman yesterday.
They're just going to talk about how the Capitol policemen or the
partners flag an individual based on their
National Guard people got removed.
and they pass it to us. We're not even asking what the flag was. We're just removing them. I don't think that we have a handbook on what our thresholds for inappropriateness at this point. We are just taking action. Well, most of the focus this week in the nation's capital has been on the unprecedented security, including 25,000 National Guard troops. Here at 15th and Pennsylvania Avenue, a block from the White House, there's a very large police presence, as you can see. I've spoken to police officers from Greensboro, North Carolina, Bryan, Texas, and from the NYPD. There are police, state troopers, and constables from all over the country here for Joe Biden's inauguration. Now, after DC's mayor told people to stay home, it's very likely we're going to have more police and military here in the nation's capital when Joe Biden rolls by in about 5 hours. Dana?
All right, Lucas, thank you so much. And I'm sure people in Washington are ready to get back to normal course of business so they can go back to their daily lives. Indeed. Thank you so much, Lucas. And as we wait for Joe Biden to be sworn in as the next president, the attention now turns to his inaugural address. And the stakes are high for Biden to deliver a message of unity to a country searching for stability after the violence on Capitol Hill 2 weeks ago and the election season that we had. Juan Williams is co-host of The Five. He joins me now to discuss. And Juan, I wanted to play for you something that President Trump said about how hard the administration worked and saying that they left it all on the field. Listen to here.
We have worked hard. We've left it all, as the athletes would say, we've left it all on the field. We'll never say in a month when we're sitting in Florida, we're not going to be looking at each other and saying, you know, if we only worked a little bit harder, you can't work harder.
And we know why.
Well, in a way, maybe, but
They did work very, very hard. Joe Biden says that when he gets to the White House today, he will not go to the residence first,
Ted
but to the
Cruz.
Oval Office. And there's a long list of things that they want to try to accomplish, and he'll be signing a lot of those executive orders today. What are you paying attention to on that front?
Well, there are going to be 17, Dan, 17 executive orders that we know that Joe Biden will act on this very day, his first moments in the Oval Office. And you stop and think about the rejoining the Paris climate deal, making big efforts in terms of, reversing things like Keystone Pipeline. You see a lot of the climate change issues right there. Now, of course, President Trump used executive orders to put in place some of these. So all that Biden is doing is reversing. I think it's very symbolic on his part to say he is taking charge. The larger.
Well, I just want to point out that what you're seeing on the screen, there's the motorcade having left St. Matthews, pulling up now to the United States Capitol, where Joe Biden, his family, and his well-wishers and invited guests will be joining him on the west steps of the Capitol. In just a little bit,
I wonder if Hunter Biden's going to be there.
No, I love it. This is such a special day, Dana. The other part of it is, of course, the virus and things like wearing masks on federal grounds. There's the president.
I believe so.
No, that was Mitch McConnell.
No, that was Mitch McConnell. That was Elaine Chesson. She served many administrations. She, of course, is the wife of Mitch McConnell.
But as we go forward today, what you got to realize is the business of Washington. It really depends on not simply the pen of the president-elect, but on the agencies getting in gear, and that is proving to be a challenge. President-elect Biden, after he's sworn in, will not have a single cabinet secretary that has been confirmed. So he is taking charge of a government that has a number of acting people in place, people waiting, agency officials waiting for clear direction as to where they'll be going and what they'll be doing.
One of those senators, Democrat Amy Klobuchar, she of course ran against Joe Biden in the primary one.
Is that
Chuck Schumer here? I have to say it's a little bit difficult with the masks and the sun on the screen, but we're working on it. We see the field of flags there as well. A lot of work to get done, as you said, Juan. The confirmation of these nominations.
Yeah, because yesterday, Tuesday, was the first time that we had confirmation hearings held, and they were held for simply 5 of Biden's nominees. For State Department, Anthony Blinken; for Treasury, someone well known, I think, to everyone, Janet Yellen, the former chair of the Federal Reserve; National Intelligence Director Avril Haines; for Defense, Lloyd Austin; and for Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. The big news coming out of those was Alejandro Mayorkas, that his nomination sort of being challenged by Josh Hawley, now the controversial senator from Missouri, who's concerned about how Mayorkas would deal with immigration. But 2 women in that group, lots of concern again, how they are going to change the agenda from Trump in a way that conforms to President-elect Biden's promise of unity.
And of course, Bill, as we turn it over to you, we see that those seats are starting to fill in a little bit as the motorcade has made its way to the Capitol.
Okay, this looks like
again on how different it is, Dana.
Biden's.
I really only came here at 5 o'clock this morning just to look out and not see anybody. It was just such a strange moment for me.
Let's see the type of security people that get out of this car with them.
From Missouri, he's head of the Inauguration Committee.
Obviously, it's all Secret Service, but I'm wondering if there's going to be
She's the ranking member of the Senate on the inaugural committee.
like a SWAT team aspect to that.
Joe Biden today follows in the footsteps of 45 presidents before him, but facing a far different path in the months ahead. In a moment, Brett Baer joins our coverage on the incoming president's biggest priorities and his top challenges when our coverage continues.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
The Rocket Mortgage Super Bowl Square sweepstakes is back. Every time the score changes, someone
scrolling through
$50,000.
Reddit looking for anything related to the inauguration. I see the only one on here, and it has no upvotes. 4.5 4,500
Sign up for free at
likes or comments. Trump has left the White House for the last time as president. It's for CNN.com.
Double protein on footlong syrup and the new protein bowls. And if you want to go pro like Warshawn, don't let anything get in your way. Here we go. Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Go pro and get double the protein for just $2 more.
I have, over my 30 years, seen many patients who have excessive sweating. It is very much a confidence killer. I recommend Carpe for my patients.
Carpe is by far the most effective antiperspirant I've ever used.
I love Carpe. Now I don't sweat.
Effective.
No, I don't sweat. It's probably not healthy to not sweat.
Avoid expensive treatments, injections, and prescriptions. Your total body sweat solution is available at mycarpe.com. Visit today and get up to 30% off.
Hey, I just got a text from my sister. You remember Rick, her neighbor?
Sure. He's the 76-year-old guy who still runs marathons, right?
Sadly, not anymore.
What? You mean...
Mm-hmm. Just like that.
Wow. So sudden. We're not about to have the we need life insurance conversation again, are we?
No, we're having the we're getting coverage so we don't have to worry about it conversation.
So you're calling about the $9.95 a month plan from Colonial Penn?
I am. We put it off long enough. We are getting that $9.95 plan today.
Do you think that type of life insurance that you can get off of a TV ad even does anything? Or do you think that when you die and you call up to try to get it, they just weasel their way out of
It could be
it?
the death of someone you know or a health scare. That's why today could be a great day to call for free information about Colonial Penn's $9.95 plan. If you're age 50 to 85, you can get guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance starting at just $9.95 a month. There are no health questions, so you can't be turned down for any health reason. This is permanent coverage. Just pay your premiums for lifelong security. The $9.95 plan is Colonial Penn's #1 most popular whole life plan. Options start at just $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate can never go up. It's locked in for life. Don't put it off. Take the first easy step. Call today for free information. And you'll also get this free beneficiary plan. So call now.
Call 1-800-641-3232 for your free information and free gift. That's 1-800-641-3232. There's no risk or obligation. That number again is 1-800-641-3232. 1-800-641-3232. Call now.
Hello, Colonial Penn?
Why Walgreens? With copays as low as $0, Walgreens makes supporting your Medicare prescriptions no sweat. So you can get back to the thing you'd rather be doing.
What's my safe life story? I spent a lot of time in my truck. It's my livelihood. So I'm not taking any chances when something happens to it. So when my windshield cracked, my friend recommended Safe Light Auto Glass. It came right to me with expert service where I needed it. That service I can trust, no matter what I'm on. Right, girl?
Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
Hannity is #1 with the highest rated year in cable news history. More Americans turn to Sean. Don't miss Hannity. Every weeknight, Fox News Channel, the voices America trusts.
Each of us has a purpose. We are destined to do something meaningful. What do you think a private Christian education looks like? GCU offers over 175 high-quality online programs. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Visit gcu.edu.
Hi, I'm Kevin Alaka. I lead YouTube's culture and trends team. We track trending and popular phenomena on the platform and compiled this report, which provides a global view of the current state of digital culture.
All right, we're watching commercials here. Let's go back to, let's go to CNN this time and see what CNN says.
Welcome back to our coverage here on the west steps of the Capitol building. And one of the One of the memories that many may take away from this day is the field of flags that we talked about a few times that have been planted now, quite literally, in the National Mall. Up to 200,000 of them. The inauguration.
Sure.
You're absolutely right. Jamie Gagel, you're getting some new information as well on what we can anticipate in the next president's address.
So they're showing some shots of, I think, what is like the street that you would see the parade for after the inauguration, and it doesn't look like there's anybody out there. There's Chuck Schumer. He's got two people making sure he's got his mask on correct.
Presidents normally do, but after all, Donald Trump isn't going to be there. I'm also told the speech will have a realistic.
Looks like there's Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell is there.
Without being a pushover wolf.
There's Bernie Sanders, just looking like a regular guy with like a work jacket on and some mittens.
Dick Cheney and his wife were invited today, and they very much wanted to come, but as is the case with a lot of people, they were advised by their doctor
people getting selfies and pictures taken
not to come. That said, I was told that they were very proud of their daughter Liz Cheney's vote to impeach Donald Trump.
Who is that? Oh, Rosario Dawson, and who's her husband? Booker, Cory Booker.
Yeah, it looks like the motorcade is beginning to get closer and closer to the U.S. Capitol. Caitlin.
I'm not sure about his last name. I don't really know him that well. I only know about him because of her.
Racing for right now. This is history, obviously.
Okay, so here comes his motorcade. It looks like he's making his way down there.
In the sense that we are seeing Republican
I haven't seen any crowds of just people. Like nobody's holding signs in support of Biden, or there's no protesters. It looks like just the streets look to be completely empty. There's some people standing around that I'm not 100% sure there, but yeah, those are cops. It looks like, because I think that they look kind of puffy, so that looks to be like some type of cop uniform stuff.
And that is important. But the bigger message of the day is supposed to be that this is an American moment.
Oh yeah, wow. So many police officers there, dude.
We have respect for the process,
Jeez,
respect for each other, respect for institutions.
Boy.
Respect is not a word that was used very often over the past 4 years. I think it will be used a lot beginning today, because whatever your politics watching at home or around the world, Joe Biden respects government. He respects people who disagree with him. He listens to them. He does not chainsaw them on Twitter. He respects that building where he will take the oath. For 37 years as the United States Senator, that was his home. That was his office. Again, he's about to walk into it as the president-elect and to leave it as the president of the United States. What a testament to his personal resilience. Again, whether you agree or disagree with his politics, twice Toulouse runs for the president. All the personal tragedy in his life, and today he will take the oath of office as the president of the United States. A man who, every time he's been knocked down, has gotten up and gotten back into the fight. You have to respect that, to come back to that word. It's a majestic day. It always has been, and it always should be. And just because of, in the middle of a pandemic, 2 weeks after the government was attacked at the inspiration of the sitting president of the United States, it's all the more so. And back to Jamie Gagel's point,
Biden en route to U.S. Capitol for inauguration.
Be there as a Republican. Even Mitch McConnell.
Lady Gaga will perform the national anthem. That could be pretty good.
In recent days has made it pretty clear. He wants to shove President Trump to the sidelines if he can, to be part of the Republicans trying to do that. And so there's a cleansing. There's an air of cleansing about today. There's an internal fight in the Republican Party about President Trump, soon to be former President Trump, that's going to continue.
I know.
But today is an American celebration. And again, a testament to voting, a testament to
one thing I'll be interested to see is, the day of the, January 6th, so the day of the Capitol insurrection, there was people going on Fox News, and, definitely throwing Trump under the bus. One of them was Sarah Palin, and she said it, and nobody really made a big deal out of it, but she said that there needed to be a third party. And I think meaning basically that, specifically, that the Republican Party needed to break in two. And I think that what she meant by that was that, you know, it was going to be people leaving the party and forming a new party against Trump. But now I'm seeing stuff too that Trump is saying that he wants to start his own party. And I know that there's been a lot of talk since, you know, even before he even took office, that he wanted to start his own news network because he was such good friends with Roger Ailes from Fox News, who, you know, ended up getting removed and all that because of all the sexual harassment and sex abuse stuff. Boy, those doors are thick on that limo.
Right now, we're seeing this motorcade pull up. We do expect him to walk out momentarily. We do expect the congressional leaders to greet him as he walks in to deliver his remarks.
It's a Cadillac, you know. Did you see the Cadillac has a flying car concept video, or a flying car concept car? It's pretty interesting. They would be the people that made that fucking tank ass limo.
I think there will be a significant
there he
number.
is.
There will be some who are not showing up. We're seeing, you know, some.
Okay, there's Kamala Harris and her husband. They're out of their car.
It looks like we are seeing Kamala Harris.
It's a nice color jacket. Here's Biden. He's standing around. I gotta tell you, though, one thing I'll say about him is I was kind of concerned about Joe Biden and his mental capacities and just his. I mean, it's a difference. I'm not trying to criticize him because he's just an older gentleman, but he's become more vibrant and definitely more. He's definitely got a lot more pep than what he started his presidential campaign with, and that's positive to me. I'm really happy for that. You know, I want him to be in good health, definitely. I'm glad to see that. His wife's got a weird color on her. It's like green turquoise, something like that, maybe? I don't know. You can tell Kamala Harris is like a no-nonsense lady, you know, with respect. I mean, should be. I'm happy that she's the vice president. She seems like somebody who can be positive influence, and we got some military salute stuff going on here as they walk up. It's a long walk. This guy's 78 years old. All right, let's see what some of my friends are saying on Instagram. Somebody's got some stuff. Everybody's happy. Everybody's got stuff about the inauguration and yada yada yada. See, one of my friends is on Instagram. He was doing taco reviews, and he's back doing it. All right, here's Biden, close up of Biden walking into the, what is this, the Capitol building that he's walking into? It's a cool dress that Elise got on. I like to see. I mean, these guys are just in, suits.
John, as we're
Some of these ladies are wearing cool colors and
just give a little
stuff like
sense
that.
of perspective. 2 weeks ago, today, on January 6th, we saw what was there's the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, she's there obviously as well. We saw a riot emerge, an angry pro-Trump mob storming this building where we are right now.
Boy, they got
later we saw the impeachment
security cameras on everything out there.
And now the
They've had,
inauguration of this new president of the United States. Within 2 weeks,
there's like a scaffolding there, probably for video cameras and stuff, and there's even security
We have to remember the world is watching
cameras up
drama
there.
unfold here, and it is majestic drama today. It is the inauguration of a new president. You see the flag, you see the ceremony, you see the pomp and the circumstance that you should have. The inauguration of a new president, and again, the world watching, the country watching, all the more important because of the events you just mentioned. One Wednesday ago, Donald Trump forever stained, impeached for a second time. 2 Wednesdays ago, Trump stained, I would argue, even more so, by first leading a rally and then urging
Elizabeth Warren, maybe? I don't know. Okay, let's see. This is CNN. Let's go to headline news. See what they say.
Democracy, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will walk into this building again, where both of them have worked as senators. They walk in as president-elect and vice president-elect. You see the lectern set up there for the ceremony. Scaled back some because of COVID, but still a spectacular sight.
Scaled back some, there's like nobody there.
Very close now.
They normally have like 1,000, they said politicians and dignitaries and whatnot. And now there's only 500, so, or 200 maybe it was. So that's a lot
The
less.
former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, the former President George W. Bush and Laura Bush, former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. Anderson, it's all explicitly timed out as we get ready for around noon when Joe Biden.
Now I'll be curious to see, and that's why I want to keep my eye on like the internet, because I don't even know if they'll give it any coverage on that, if they'll even give it any. Oh, Anderson Cooper is on. Oh, this is CNN. Why is HLN just doing CNN?
The rituals of this are familiar, but they've never been.
They don't have their own people? Oh, Mitt Romney.
People are milling around in the Speaker's office.
MSNBC, let's go and see what he says. They say.
Senator Ben Sass, to see, I think that's Senator Ben shots there on the right, to see.
I'm curious to see if there's anybody that they have to arrest or any crowds that are trying to get there that they have to, that they had to turn away somehow, or
such
what?
a different thing than we are used to. To have the military presence there resonate so differently than it usually does. To have it working on 2 levels, it's
Well, you should have the military there, I guess, no matter what, with all these nuts in this country.
Temptation to lean in.
They've always been there. Now they're just riled up over this.
Joe Biden, the most tactile of all.
Okay, they're opening the doors, and here comes some guy with a lot of medals on his chest.
Torture, but just the urge to
He's somebody.
the way you would normally greet people. There's General Milley, Chairman of the Joint
salute him.
Chiefs, U.S. Army.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham. The many chapters of Lindsey Graham. Rachel, I'll leave that one to you.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Ryan, if I could jump in and do one very much less important and weighty note than the one that Rachel just
Get your nose in that mask.
Somebody's got to do it. Can we talk fashion for just one moment? Somebody's got to do it. I mean, people are going to want to know what everyone was wearing. And I have to say, seeing Michelle Obama,
Oh, I haven't seen her yet.
because one of the things that
Show
she
her.
did, in addition to all the other things she did as First Lady, was that she used fashion to send a message of inclusivity. She would wear designers
Yeah,
of
she's
color,
a
designers
well-dressed
from
lady.
different countries that were being honored at a state dinner.
They said that I saw something about how yesterday,
I've
maybe
seen
this is, who knows,
the First Lady Joe Biden,
if this is going to be what she's going to,
Kamala
maybe this
Harris,
is
the Vice
old and they
President-elect,
just,
are
it was just
using
something I
fashion
saw.
in interesting
But they said about how
ways.
Michelle Obama shows off her natural curls, and maybe she's going to have a different hairstyle. I know that's always a big deal for her.
As well as
Well, people make it into a big deal as far as her hairstyles go.
Jill Biden Biden is wearing a young designer named Alexandra O'Neill of Markarian House. And she's young, up and coming, so she's giving her a huge honor to dress the First Lady. And Kamala Harris is wearing two designers, a black designer from South Carolina, whose name is Sergio Hudson. And then there's another African-American designer named Christopher John.
Who is that? That's an actress? What's she doing there?
Their pieces today. Everyone obviously looks gorgeous, but the fact that Kamala Harris is notably wearing two African-American designers.
That's nice.
Christopher John Rogers is from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, lives in New York City, and Mr. Hudson is from South Carolina. I just think that's an interesting note because you can use fashion to make a statement, and I feel like both of the two ladies are doing that.
Yeah, and you guys are not doing a good job explaining it, but whatever.
That's what people are, among the things people are watching and waiting for. And it's interesting to put Michelle Obama at the beginning of that conversation because she made a statement every time she stepped outside of in front of a camera. I think every woman in the world went out and bought hand weights because she looks stunning. Everything she wore. So it's a nice thought.
Let me just remark here that this is Steve Scalise, who's in the House leadership on the Republican side, and of course James Clyburn, who's in the House leadership on the Democratic side, and they just walked out one after the other from that doorway that Brian's been describing. But to see them walking together through the chamber is an interesting moment. Obviously, Steve Scalise and the number one Republican in the House, on the House Republican caucus, Kevin McCarthy, both joined.
You guys got a baseball hat on, that's fine.
What the rioters were demanding in objecting to the formalization of the election results. Scalise and McCarthy both supported that, which is a radical thing to have done. It's especially radical to have done it as leadership in the House. And to have done it as leadership in the House after the insurrection is phenomenal. But there's Scalise alongside his Democratic, not quite counterpart, James Clyburn.
Somebody with that really crazy pink. I mean, she's just a person, it looks like, but that's man, I wouldn't have worn that.
From the west front of the Capitol.
Who else is coming in next?
Ryan and Rachel and Nicole, everything that you're saying.
It's cold there, obviously. These people are bundled up. This lady's got a blanket.
Watch these arrivals come in.
So we're watching MSNBC right now.
Democrats and some of the very Republicans who question the legitimacy.
Let's change the channel and see what other ridiculous. Let's go back to Fox. They're the only people who have the Republican side, so let's see what they're trying to criticize. There's a baby there.
Saw that, yeah. Some of these folks dress up like they were at a Green Bay Packer game, and for good reason, Dave.
Right.
I think the wind here is going to blow for hours in D.C. The theme is America United. I'm just going to read one sentence from the briefing book that was provided by the Biden folks. At a time of unprecedented crisis and deep divisions, America United reflects the beginning of a new national journey that restores the soul of America, brings the country together, and creates a path to a brighter future. That is the theme that Joe Biden will use to launch his administration. We will see how that goes in time, given the deeply divided country in which we find ourselves.
What's the peacock feather in her cap?
Indeed. And Martha, while you were here,
I don't know, Fox
there's
News.
nobody there at the moment.
I don't know how much of
ready
Fox
for
I can watch.
Biden and Dr.
Here
Joe
comes
Biden.
another big group of people.
They are going to do a lot of executive orders.
Don't know who
today.
these people are.
That's going to be the first order of business. How do you think they frame that? I mean, the press secretary.
Oh, it sounds like they said Gerald Schumer, so he's coming at some point. But I haven't seen him
I
yet.
think they made a statement by saying that when the new president
There he
arrives
is.
at the White House, here comes Dick Durbin and other members of the Senate as they walk in. As the new president arrives at the White House, we're told he will
He's
go
lost.
straight to the Oval Office and will begin.
The person with him had to point at the camera.
Ending the XL pipeline, Keystone Pipeline, which was one of the very first moves that President Trump made. It was very controversial during the Obama administration. A lot of people wanted to see that pipeline open, and today will be a disappointing day for those who wanted that, as that will be closed. He will also end construction on the border wall, a very real change in what's happening, symbolic change as well. Obviously, President Trump championed that border wall, wanting to have a sovereign nation.
Put up a lot of that wall, though, if you think about it. I mean, they said that they put up 500 miles or some some 500 and some odd miles
That's
of
going to
it.
be a move. Those are going to be moves. Rejoin the Paris
Here
Climate
comes a
Accord.
bunch of cops.
That's somewhat divisive, Dana.
It is. And actually, Bill, I think that we've neglected to talk about something so far. Let's do it now. And that is that in many ways, a lot of people see this as a third Obama term.
I wish.
Do you think Biden welcomes that, or is he going to try to chart his own path?
Yeah. You think about the hands of history, Dana. 4 years is nothing. And then 4 years ago, Barack Obama and Joe Biden were in charge in this town. You're very right about that. I think with regard to the executive orders that Martha was talking about, she's very right about the caravan and what, how does the immigration order change things and change that issue. I think also it should be pointed out that caravan is something that we can physically see. I think the threats that we cannot visibly see may be the most daunting. And my mind immediately goes to the challenge of 4 years later. I think as soon as President Trump was in the White House, he was testing ICBMs out of Pyongyang. And that's sent a fear. President Trump came out and said, stop it, or you're going to be met with the fire and fury of the American military. And then President Trump, in his typical fashion, turned it 180 degrees, and a month or two later, they were in Singapore having talks about this, and it seemed a silent for years. And that's one of the many threats during these transition periods that next that we can't see.
There's no clear mandate that the Democrats had. The Republicans actually won so many of those down ballot seats. They won governorships, they won state legislatures, there's a conservative court in the Supreme Court. Right, we probably a while here because I think the Democrats realize they're on borrowed time in terms of this majority. 22 could be if the Republicans get their act together. Do win a lot more, Bill.
Evenly divided, as you
It's going
point
to be
out.
tough for them to come back from that.
Because the series is going to get underway. I think if you just reflect for a moment about how much we have seen already, it's not even 11 o'clock here in the morning. And with President Trump now en route to Florida, the final comments he made, which I thought were a reflection of the video that he put out yesterday afternoon. They were off the cuff, thanking his family and those closest to him for the success that they saw over the past 4 years. And as I say, that be a parade of President's Day.
He doesn't know how to spell potato.
So I'll say goodbye to you for now.
All right, we're pushing Fox News out of there. They got to get away. Let's go to somebody else anyways.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. I think that,
Cheddar? Let's see what they have to say. What's this one?
Work together. And can he, at this point? It seems like, I know it's almost cliche.
Totally, and right, and a president like Biden is a product of Washington. He's been there for almost 50 years and was there for decades when Republicans and Democrats used to socialize with each other. When there were whole groups in the middle of moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, that would seek compromise. So the big question for Biden is, can he use his 50 years of experience positively and also not rely on the fact that, well, when I was there in the 80s and 90s, we used to do X.
but actually know that like he does inherit a much more divided Washington. You know, I thought it was significant this morning that at least 17 House Republican freshmen sent him a letter. And this is what we'll be listening for in the inaugural address today, which Chris, Senator, a good friend of mine, said is the most important inaugural address since Lincoln's inaugural in terms of bringing the country together. So will Biden have the right rhetoric today? And then will his actions match the rhetoric that he rolls out today?
Speaking of letters, we know President Trump, not going to be at the inauguration. There's some reporting now that he did leave a letter. President-elect Joe Biden.
They said that earlier.
How surprising is that? And dare I ask, what do you think is in that letter?
So there's a tradition that's been started now for several president leaving a letter in the Oval Office for the incoming president. Now, we understand from the New York Times, Bloomberg, and a couple other sources today that despite not attending the inauguration and breaking with hundreds of years of traditions today, that Trump allegedly did leave a letter for Biden. What that letter says remains to be seen. Typically, these letters leak out within the first year of the presidency. Famously, Bush 41 in 19, I'm rooting hard for your success. Your success is the country's success. George W. Bush in 2009 says that Biden will be.
I would like to know what he said, but I'm
in the last couple of addresses, including his goodbye remarks today. So what he says in the letter, I think we'll all be anticipating, and it really is a matter of time before it leaks up.
And we're just watching on the right side of the screen right now, the Clintons entering the inauguration.
There they are. Hillary Clinton's got purple on.
To figure out who everyone is, folks, because of course everyone's in face masks. But the Clintons, we know, of course.
Right.
All right, listen, Nora and I don't know if you were watching. We just did some inauguration trivia, and we failed Miss.
So this is fascinating. Typically, the outgoing president attends the incoming president's inauguration, and with the president comes the nuclear football, the nuclear codes that.
What did Trump take that to Florida with him?
Strike or a defensive situation. Should we be facing nuclear war? There's a military aid. There is a 50-pound suitcase called football, and the president carries a card called the biscuit with the codes. Because President Trump is not attending the inauguration, one football left with President Trump's inauguration stage. His is not active till noon, and Trump's is active until noon, in which thereafter the military aid will leave Trump's side, and his co-card, the biscuit, will no longer be active.
Really fascinating. All right, Moshe Winner, president of Mode Digital. So great to have you on. Appreciate it. Coming up, we're counting down to the swearing in of President-elect Joe Biden, the nation's 46th president. Stick with Cheddar. We'll have more from Washington on the other side.
Who's that? Bush?
Into Cheddar with the latest news and coverage.
Let's check out what BBC says. Everybody's being pretty positive.
Blocks
Even
every
Fox
garage,
News.
every balcony, anybody who might have direct line has site access to it because of the fear that there might be an attack of some kind. They had to postpone the rehearsal on Sunday to Monday again because of the fear. Joe Biden was supposed to come into the city on the Amtrak, like he did when he was senator. They had to cancel that. These are all the fears having. Like you have, you said, 4 inaugurations.
Somebody on
There's
here,
never
though.
been this
Just
level of alert before.
No, We had the
It's
Bushes,
got that
Laura
call.
Bush and George
Not
W.
With that same guy?
Also arriving. Of course, it was Bill Clinton who handed over power to George W. Bush, invited the Bushes and their girls to the White House to tour the residency and left a
What's it
kind
about?
note. That tour of the residency.
That guy, that was entirely one call.
Reach out to the Bidens to invite them to the White House to take a
day rates
tour of the residency. I'm sure that
So
Joe
for
Biden
now,
has seen the
he
residency.
needs
Was
to
there
manually
as
put
Vice
in
President under Barack
the
Obama.
pay
He knows the
adjustments.
building well, but it is another symbols of democracy, symbols of
And
a
he wants his
functioning,
payroll set.
mature,
So he's
peaceful
trying to get through that.
transfer of power.
But
Is that the person who has lost,
it's
even after one
why
term,
do I have
is
to do
prepared
this?
to hand over power.
Look
in
at
a
their
way
hours
that
on
gracious
screen.
and shows
Put
unity
the
of the country.
payment.
Whereas Barack
Because you don't have
Obama
day
and
rates set
Michelle
up.
Obama
Because
arrived
we
and
could
of
do
course
track
it was
attendance
Barack
only.
Obama who had to
The day rates.
What I don't even know how to do that.
to Donald Trump 4 years ago in the
Basically.
inauguration of Donald
Oh,
Trump.
look at, it's the Obamas.
So,
Oh, her hair is looking nice. Look at that though.
I know, that's what they were saying, that she's got
his vice president and his
her
friend.
natural curls or something
Barack
like
Obama
that
and
they
Joe
were
Biden
talking
really
about.
did become good friends when
She was in having a hairstyle.
George W. Bush and Mrs. Laura Bush.
Here they come. Don't, oh, your scarf's blowing off, George. Come on, get that. You got it, you shithead. This guy. What a tard.
He's in weak health.
Come on.
I'm sure he would have been loved to have been here. Joe Biden was a Senate aide when Jimmy Carter was serving his term in office.
It's pretty cool.
They have been friends.
People have different stuff
Worked
on.
together before, but health reasons keeps Jimmy Carter and his wife down in Atlanta, so they will not be attending this inauguration. I imagine that the former President Carter will be watching this on television, however, wishing his Democratic compatriot well as Joe Biden takes over. So we've had now, and we will get the Chief Justice and the Supreme Court justices. It will be to Joe Biden and Justice as well in any minute, following on from the Obamas who are about to arrive out onto the podium. Let's just take a listen while we watch the Obamas arrive.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 44th President of the United States, the Honorable Barack H. Obama and Mrs. Michelle Obama.
There we go. Yes,
And
pretty
it's
much.
a huge amount of applause wherever he goes, including onto the inauguration platform outside the Capitol building for his former vice president.
I was giving everybody fist bumps.
So traditionally, of course, hundreds of thousands of people would be out on the National Mall for these presidential inaugurations, but this time there are no crowds. Instead, nearly 200,000 American flags are waving in the wind. They represent the number of ticket holders who are normally allowed to access the mall on these occasions. These are the pictures from President Trump's inauguration, and you can see that how the Americans were there to witness it and celebrate. Some 500,000 turned out, although there was a controversy which followed when his administration came. So more people were there than attended President Obama's first inauguration in 2009. That was not true. 1 million people attended President Obama's first inauguration. These were the pictures. On the left, Donald Trump's inauguration. Here's the comparison. Barack Obama's inauguration in 2009. You can work it out for yourselves. So
well, in retrospect, you're lucky that all those people didn't show up for Trump.
Is out on the national law. Gary, normally you'd be jostling for position with millions of people down there potentially. Now you're
millions. You just said 100,000s, dude. This is keep it straight, will you?
Yeah, 200,000 of them, as you say, all planted by armies of people in the last few days. Lots and lots of US flags, as you'd expect, but also flags from the individual states, 50 states and the 6 territories, stretching right back from the Capitol, right down the Mall. It's a very eerie sort of place to be when you think of elections and what would normally be going on a day like this, just to be here with us and the flags and the wind coursing through the National Mall. But I think, in a sense, it's an inspired idea, isn't it? This could have just been an empty place, an emptiness that would have spoken volumes. But they've done something, I think, very simple but very effective to say, look, we recognise this is not normal, but in a sense, the people will be back.
Go to Arlington Cemetery, the whole team, the vice president, who will then be the vice president, and the president will go off to the Arlington Cemetery. It happens on inauguration day. Normally they'd be taking this huge parade.
Supreme Court people.
From the Capitol to the White House. Another thing.
George Bush is laughing like an idiot, slapping people on the back.
The parade is always a central part. I think, in a sense, the trip to Arlington, going to the 2 of the unknown soldier, that sort of symbol of the America's fallen, is a very powerful thing, I think, particularly with the other presidents present there, because America has been through a number of wars in recent years. It has lost a number of thousands of service people. Since you mentioned 9/11, since 9/11, a lot of Americans have fallen in battle, and that would be, I think, a very powerful image and a sign, I think, that the respect that the leader, the new president Joe Biden, and those other
who are all these people?
hold for the
They're all
military in this
kids.
country, which,
Looks like.
as you know more than anyone else, it's a real kind of badge of honor, isn't it? You have to demonstrate your respect.
See, in Donald Trump has just arrived.
All right, Trump's.
As in America and American politics is the fact that Donald Trump is leaving, and that Donald Trump has, I think the way to put it is, slunk out of town as a defeated president who did not win a second term in office. And that is also highly significant for this country. There are a lot of people in the country, and I've spoken to supporters of President Trump, who have also told me they are exhausted, that this has been a dramatic, chaotic, unprecedented presidency with an enormous amount of news, enormous amount of turmoil during the course of the last 4 years, on top of the coronavirus, and is looking for perhaps a little restoration of normalcy. So there is Air Force One. He is 1 hour and 3 minutes. Donald Trump is still the 45th president of the United States. His plane touching down at West Palm Beach. Let's bring in Olivia Troy, who worked for the Trump advisor for Vice President Mike Pence.
My thing that I was curious
To make
about,
clear to our audience who left
and
the Trump administration,
they
who did
talked
not
a little bit about it.
what was happening. Trump touching down
He's
at West
got
Palm Beach,
the active
defeated
nuclear
as a
football
one-term
until
president.
noon.
What do you think got
And
that?
because I definitely saw that Biden was riding in the limo. Technically, Trump should be what's the name?
His entire tenure in office. And I'm not surprised to see that he would still not appear at the inauguration. And to be frank, I'm not sure that any of us wanted him to be there. This is a new beginning. It's time.
There's Pence. Pence is there.
Move forward. We have to hold him accountable still after today. I think we have to hold those that enabled this moment, those Republicans that allowed this to happen in this moment accountable still.
Yes, I mean, I don't think that it's definitely.
Olivia, we're just seeing in the capital.
Got his own things.
Still vice president to run.
Airplane, Air Force One is just taxiing all over this place.
With his actions over the last few weeks, and
all right, it finally just stopped.
Out with President Trump on how to fight the election result.
I certainly think
That's one thing though, is they're kind of trying to Mike Pence, it's like a sympathetic figure.
What this president was truly like on a daily basis. He was certainly at times fully pushed aside. But he was also the calling voice in the room at times. So
was he? But Mike Pence, I don't really remember too much that he said, but I guess he was a calling voice.
That this country is in a very dark place right now. He knows that this is the moment to move forward. I think it is right for him to be.
Olivia, you served with Vice President Mike Pence on the coronavirus task force. The number one thing that Joe Biden needs to do from today, when he becomes president, is handle the coronavirus here in America, improve the rollout of test and tracing.
Trump is about to get out of Air Force One.
What do you think the incoming president can do differently compared to what Mike Pence was doing when he was leading?
The first thing is to speak with a unified voice. Everyone united behind wearing the mask. A simple issue like that that just really created so much division in this country. And also to support the states, support these governors who have basically been played against
now they're rolling the thing towards it.
Used as a pawn for the President Trump along the way.
All right, we're watching BBC.
Did not enable
we got to change this.
He didn't get supplies out at times. He played politics over this virus.
Let's see what NBC says. Who's on here?
Split screen. He is now going to be disembarking, getting off the plane for the last time as Air Force One. He will be greeted by some of his supporters who have gathered for him there in Palm Beach. A very different scene than what we're seeing here at the west front of the Capitol, where there have been glimpses of bipartisanship. Congressman Jim Clyburn, for example, taking selfies with Congressman Steve Scalise. You had the Bushes walk immediately over to Clyburn, for example.
Looks like they got a fucking.
Including Justice Sotomayor here.
It's like Ford Explorer waiting for Trump.
And Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, a real moment of first, the first Latina Supreme Court justice, and of course the first woman of color to become the vice president. As we see the vice president and his wife now come out on the balcony.
He's actually walking out.
A round of applause as I look behind me here. Everybody's standing and watching Vice President.
People are applauding for him.
As he assumes those traditional roles during that speech in the moments after the insurrectionists took over the Capitol. Once the all clear was given, it was Vice President Pence who came out and said democracy must prevail. It was Vice President Pence who returned to the Capitol
George
to
Bush's
those National Guard troops that have moved in, not President Trump. It was the Vice President who over the last 4 days has been traveling.
Well, he's pretty much standing there by himself.
And conducting the duties of the office, Savannah.
And that is the split screen that no one had exactly expected Vice President Pence at the inauguration and the open door to Air Force One for the final departure of President Trump.
Okay, so my thing is this. What's going to happen is Trump is going to time it. Trump is going to time it to one.
These nuclear codes, things that most of us don't have to think about on a daily basis, suddenly land in your lap.
But it's different in terms of logistics because in every inauguration, except for 152 years ago, the outgoing president and the incoming president were there in the same place, and there was, in a way, a literal handoff. That won't. The moment that the oath is sworn on the old Biden family Bible in about an hour from now, we will have a new president, and perhaps as we look at this open door, President Trump is taking a last look around and saying goodbye to some of the staff members who work on Air Force One and who certainly he's gotten to know over these last 40 years.
Certainly a journey that Donald Trump has made many times aboard this plane or its twin plane between Washington and Florida, spending a lot of time.
Oh no. Came out early. There he is.
President Trump.
What's
what? Armored vehicle there. They're right at the steps.
Yeah, it's like a.
Let's see what happens.
All right, Melania's getting in.
And yes, Melania Trump has changed.
Trump just got in.
She left Washington. It's cold for the sunny skies of Florida and has changed her wardrobe accordingly as they will drive off. But as you mentioned, 60 minutes and counting until we have a new president.
And what was it he said at the end of his remarks today? I'll be back in some form.
He said, I'll be back in some form.
Wow.
Absolutely, and definitely did not give any indication he plans to leave the political stage. But in
Here comes all the Trumps.
And now we see
There's Don Jr.
Staircase, but this is the moment
There's
where the
Eric.
goes away.
There's
And all eyes
Ivanka.
will go on the United States Capitol because
Her
we are about
husband's
to
live.
inaugurate a new president and the seat of government. And those who hold
Girlfriends.
power in our government are ready. We've got 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justices in attendance. The 3 oldest justices are not there because of pandemic concerns. We have congressional leaders, and we have about 1,000 guests, which is about a 20th of what normally would happen if there weren't a pandemic and these grave security concerns. But it's all the trappings and all.
The political future he may be pondering. Again, kept a higher profile, we'll say, over the last couple of weeks as we have struggled with what happened at the Capitol.
His fortunes have changed quite a bit, and again, as mentioned, there was no greater loyal ally to President Trump than Mike Pence, but because people, supporters of the president, were led to believe that there was something, anything that could be done to change the election, and Vice President Pence did not do that because he did not possess the power to do it. Quickly, that support became chants of hangs inside the halls of that building 2 weeks ago, and yes, that's Alex Rodriguez. For those who are wondering, he's also Mr. J-Lo. Jennifer Lopez is going to be performing at this inauguration.
I heard him. I heard him interview somewhere yesterday talking about.
Lady Gaga is going to be performing the national anthem. So again, you can't help but enjoy eavesdropping, at least with your eyes, on what's taking place at the Capitol. Former presidents milling about with congressional leaders and A-list celebrities, and the Biden family has come in now. We've got 3 former presidents, 6 Supreme Court justices, and I'm told members of Congress as well.
Looking at President Obama, reminding he kept his side.
And if you're not familiar with his story, then we'll try to do it justice in these few moments we had. He's walking with Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff, and he has that point of
honor because he was on duty, Capitol Police officer on that day, January 6th. And as the mob approached, the camera captured his quick thinking as he could have perhaps prevented untold harm. And he has been commended for that action, and there's talk of a Congressional Medal of Honor for him. And today he has the honor of escorting Doug Emhoff and soon-to-be Vice President Kamala Harris.
So many images of that day, and so many of them horrifying that was in a horrible situation like that. And so Kamala Harris, Doug Emhoff will make way to the door and will be officially announced and presented as they take their place. Inauguration and swearing in.
Being made as we speak, that we haven't really paused, Lester, to note that we will have the first female vice president in our nation's history in an hour, the first Black American vice president, first Indian American. So there will be all kinds of history made today.
The acting deputy House Sergeant at Arms Kevin Grubbs, acting deputy Sergeant at Arms, United States Capitol Police Officer, Private First Class Eugene O. Goodman. Earned a rousing applause. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President-elect of the United States, Kamala Debbie Harris, and Mr. Douglas Emhoff.
Here she comes. I'm always worried about falling down steps, so don't fall down those steps. Give it a wave. There you go. She got a leather face mask on. Kamala Harris and
their position.
The Obamas, they're just doing pounds and stuff like that.
President-elect vice presidential relationship, not unlike the one he enjoyed with Barack Obama.
Where is that?
The last.
You know who I'd like to see there, and I'm sure she probably didn't get invited, but she should have. Is AOC.
Because he is a boy to be president, but he's been vice president. So he knows all the highs and lows of that job. I mean, that for a long time it was always joked that it was the worst job in Washington, that there was really no prescribed duties, but it's become in the last few administrations quite important, quite momentous. We mentioned Joe Biden, you have to mention Dick Cheney under President Bush, who was hugely influential vice president. So Kamala Harris certainly will have that opportunity, and just the magnitude of the pandemic, there's so much work to be done. It's really a two-person job, so we'll see if they are able to forge that kind of functioning relationship.
A lot of pride will be felt as we know that the first woman of color will take the oath. She will take the oath first, we should note. Momentarily stay warm, we're both. I'm going to assume they've got heaters up there on the platform.
Well, there's one good thing about masks. They do keep your face warm, so perhaps that's one plus that they captured from COVID. Let's bring in Chuck Todd and Andrew Mitchell, who are watching these images with us. And for all that has happened, at least these moments right now, Chuck, feel like the inauguration.
I'll be honest, this has been an elixir of sorts. This is the last hour just to see the normalcy of people in both parties participating in this. I mean,
all right, let's try to find. This is NBC. Let's look at ABC. What's ABC have to say? I was on CBS earlier, and I didn't think that was very good.
Capitol, where she once interned, just miles away from Howard University, the historically Black college where she graduated, where she joined Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Here on the grounds of the United States Capitol, a symbol of the moment today as well. And when she was first elected district attorney of San Francisco, the first Black woman to do so, she said she walked into her office and it was completely empty except for just one chair, but George, she was so happy to be able to take her seat.
And now we're seeing the president fully gripped in the vestibule.
Mr. John Bessler, Staff Representative Stephanie Hager.
Here goes a cop behind him.
Of an incredible political career.
And Staff Representative
Election to Newcastle County Council more than 50 years ago.
There's Biden.
Back in 1972.
He doesn't have a presidential seal on his mask. I kind of figured he would. Some people already do. Got a regular black mask on.
There with Dr. Joe Biden. He'll be looking out over a mall that is so different from most inaugurals, as we've been saying, an empty mall. A mall empty of people, filled only with flags.
Hold the rail.
Representing the Americans who can't be there, the Americans we lost over 5 minutes from now when he will become president of the United States.
Don't forget, Trump still got that nuclear football. I wish that I see him, what he does, if he's got anything.
Joe Biden's eyes right now.
I know they don't want to give him any play, but I figure if that's going to be anywhere, it's going to be on Fox. So let's go check out Fox real quick. Not because I like to watch Fox News. Although Tucker Carlson.
There in Washington, as you see in Klobuchar, she's leading the proceedings for the Democrats today. Senator
That's the kind of person that you really want to talk about politics.
Ladies and gentlemen, accompanying the president-elect, the staff director of the Joint Congressional Committee and Inaugural Ceremony, as you elder the fourth, the acting House and Senate Sergeant.
Hunter Biden is there.
And the acting Senate Sergeant at Arms, Jennifer Hemingway.
I thought they might try to keep him.
As a young man and as an adult, the worst thing that your parent would ever have to do, and that is bury a child. He had to bury his beloved Joe Biden. And today he's going to take a prize he's long sought. 3 times he's run for president, 3rd time's the charm. And he goes today with our best wishes, the best wishes of every American, as we should in this moment. There'll be moments to celebrate the greatness
Here he
of our
comes.
country.
There might be a little bit of snow in the air, too. Obama got a bigger ovation, though, I'll tell you. Maybe more people are clapping now, but as far as the pop, ooh. So interesting. I guess that means Biden too. Now what happens? I've never really watched this that closely before.
Please welcome the Honorable Amy Klobuchar.
All right.
Vice President Pence, Mr. President-elect, Madam Vice President-elect, members of Congress and the judicial branch, former presidents and first ladies, vice presidents, leaders from abroad, and a whole bunch of Bidens. America, welcome to the 59th presidential inauguration, where in just a few moments,
That's
Joe
thick-ass
Biden
glass
and
they got up there.
will take their solemn oaths. This ceremony is is the culmination of 244 years of our Constitution to cherish it and defend it. It is the moment when they become, as we all should be, guardians of our country.
Mike Pence with his $100.
Passing of the torch of democracy to truly appreciate what a blessing and a privilege it is to witness this moment. I think and desecrated this temple of our democracy.
I mean,
it awakened us
I don't know.
to our
You
responsibilities.
want to talk about an insurrection during
This
that doesn't really make anything like. I'm not trying to deny that was even an insurrection. If you want to call it an insurrection, I could agree with that. But
goes forward as a nation.
You got to understand that also kind of makes the government look weak when you call it an insurrection to me. So
this conveyance of a sacred trust between our leaders and our people takes place in front of this shining Capitol dome for a reason. When Abraham constructed, braced by ropes of steel, he promised he would finish it. He was criticized for spending funds on it during the Civil War. To those critics, he replied, "If the people see the Capitol going on, it is a sign we intend, and the Union shall go on." And it did, and it will.
Here comes some guy wearing sneakers.
Generations
Who is
of
he?
Americans
Cameraman?
gave their lives to preserve our republic in this place. Great legislation to protect civil rights and economic security and lead the world with debated and crafted.
Senator.
All right, they're kind of cutting away from her, I guess.
Also hear from Roy Blunt in a bit, the co-chairs of the
I just want Biden to
inauguration.
get sworn in. Let's
Obviously,
really get that. Dude,
Klobuchar
let's,
ran against Joe Biden in the Democratic
I mean,
primary.
if we got to wait till noon,
Joe Biden
fine, but
will be
man, if there's any way that we can get that done quicker, let's just get that
78
done.
years old. He's the
Let's get that
second
knocked
Catholic
out.
president ever. JFK being the first. Back with our panel, Katie Pavlich, this moment and what you think lies ahead in Washington with a which not there 50. You have a House with Nancy Pelosi, just a few seats in the majority.
Across the river are developed.
Well, it means that a lot of really ambitious plans that may have been promised in the campaign will be hard to execute. You'll need 60 votes in the Senate, barring a flip-flop by Democrats who say they won't support the end of the filibuster. So that will make it tough. In the House, a narrow majority, I don't know before the House, but it wouldn't take many to make it to block the legislation. So they're operating within very narrow confines. The Biden administration will be, and it'll remain to be seen how well he can execute it. Biden himself is not a particularly divisive figure. A lot of Republicans might disagree with that, but I've known him forever, Brett, and that's just not how he is. He's actually an amiable, genial man who's generally personally well-liked, and that will help him. And this event today will help to set a tone, and we'll see what it is. As we've noted, Brett,
Find a different one. So we're on Fox. Let's change it to MSNBC. What are they saying? There's the crowd of people out there on the lawn. There's barely anybody out there. This guy dropped something. Here comes another guy.
Well, I should have known when Senator Klobuchar got involved, at least there'd be a touch of snow up here this morning. Of all the things we considered, I don't think snow was on my agenda till I walked out the door a moment ago. But thank you, Senator Klobuchar, and thanks to the other members. Officially began the 59th inaugural ceremony.
All right.
also want to thank the Joint Committee staff and our partners, particularly our security partners,
I would say
the way they've dealt with
I got out of the shower today and I think I'm having a good hair day.
When I chaired the inauguration 4 years ago, I shared President Reagan's 1981 description of this event.
I gotta get a haircut, which I've been cutting part.
1789. Miraculous because we've done it every 4 years since 1789. Americans celebrated this moment during war, once again, all three branches of our government come together as visions. Once again, we renew our commitment to our determined democracy, forging a more perfect union. That theme for this inauguration, our determined democracy, forging a more perfect union, was announced by the Joint Committee before the election, with the belief that the United States can only fulfill its promise. And
let's see what they say on the internet. So I'm going to go to my phone and look at what do we think? Where would they have like breaking
democracy with its first three words, declaring the people as the source of the
back on
government.
YouTube even.
The articles of government exist because the people are the source of the reason it exists. They immediately followed those first three words with the words to form a more perfect union. The founders did not say to form a perfect union. They did not claim that in our new country nothing would need to be improved. Fortunately, they understood that always working to be better, the hallmark of a great democracy. The freedoms we have today, the nation we have, and they aren't complete. A great, and we are less than we hope to be. The assault on fragile and resilient. During the last year, the pandemic challenged our free and open society and called for extraordinary determination and sacrifice, and still challenges us today. Meeting that challenge head on have been and are healthcare workers, scientists, first responders, essential frontline workers, and so many others we depend on in so many ways. Today we come to this moment. People all over the world, as we're here, are watching and will watch what we do here. Our government comes together. The Congress and the courts join the transition of executive responsibility. One political party more pleased today and on every inaugural day than the other. But this is not a moment of division, it's a moment of unification. A new administration begins and brings with it a new beginning. And with that, our great national debate goes forward, and a determined democracy will continue to be essential for all Americans. What a privilege for me to join you today. Thank you. I'm pleased to call to the podium the and remain standing for the national anthem and the pledge to our flag. Gracious and merciful God, at this sacred time we come before you indeed on our knees. But we come still more with hope and with our eyes raised anew to the vision of a more perfect union in our land, a union of all our sons to promote the
general welfare of many races, creeds, and colors, national backgrounds, cultures, and styles. Now far more numerous. Bishop John Carroll wrote his prayer for the inauguration of George Washington 232 years ago. Archbishop Carroll prayed that you, O Creator of all, would assist with your Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude.
Got to get the Holy Spirit in there.
These United States, that his administration may be conducted in righteousness and be eminent.
See what Newsy has to say.
Equality, inclusion, and freedom for all. Yet we commit still more to becoming a light for the world. There is a power in each and every one of us that lives by turning to every other one of us. A trust of the Spirit to cherish and care and stand by others, and above all those most in need.
Those guys got.
It is called
you should be wearing those types of military fatigues in Iraq.
Of itself.
Regular types.
I can govern your
Let's check Donald Trump's Twitter. Not Twitter, because he's banned.
Right and wrong.
But he is still on
we trust in the counsel of the letter
Instagram.
of James.
I wonder if he's got anything to
If
say.
any of you lacks wisdom,
Real Donald Trump.
You should ask God, who gives generously. Pope
Let's check Donald Trump
has
Jr. because he's
reminded
always
us
being a loud
how
mouth.
important it is to dream together. By ourselves, he wrote, we risk seeing mirages, things that are not there. Dreams, on the other hand, are built together.
We're going to go to his Twitter.
Be with us, holy mystery of love, as we dream for our dream and invest it with peace and justice and the joy that is the overflow. Amen.
He doesn't have much on here. All else he's got on here that's kind of related would be that guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of our national colors by the Armed Forces Color Guard.
Thanks for all you did for America, Dad.
Accompanied by the President's own United States Marine Band, please welcome Lady Gaga.
That's cool. I mean, I know that you're a celebrity and an entertainer. You know what I mean? This is like politics. This is like the state. So I don't know if you really need to get dressed like that. You got like a Hunger Games pigeon on your.
Whose broad stripes and bright stars
little. I mean, let's just get this done, man. This is. I definitely want to be the spectacle of it, but I also just want this to be over. All right. Yep.
International Association of Firefighters, Local 3920, Fire Captain Andrea M. Hall for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, let's do this. This is more regular.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
You know sign language, that's nice.
One nation, under God.
Yeah, I guess. That's up for debate, I guess. But this guy's wiping everything down. Who is this?
What you are all about
That lady's
to be
back.
part of America is a historic moment of firsts. To administer the oath to our first African American, our first Asian American, and first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, it is my great privilege to welcome to the inaugural stage the first Latina to ever serve on the Supreme Court of the United States of America, Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear.
Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
Against all enemies, foreign
All foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and
Underline.
allegiance to the same.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
That I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
That I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the office on which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
That was good. Sounds like Trump is still the president. He's got that nuclear football down there in Mar-a-Lago. Pence. He's happy, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Please welcome Jennifer Lopez to perform This Land Is Your Land and America the Beautiful, accompanied by members of the President's own United States Marine Band.
Jennifer Lopez. Dude, what are you wearing? This is just, can't we just, I mean, this should be about business, not about entertainment. let's just do that. About this. Anything?
0.9% financing on the 2021 RX. On FS1, Trace Jackson Davis leads Indiana against Luka Garza and Thursday at 8:30 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Just landed my dream job, full-time handball.
And all this is deductible. You want to have those taxes off?
That would be nice.
File with the help of an expert. Or let an expert file for you. Intuit TurboTax Live.
Selling a home is expensive and stressful, so we set out to create a better home in America. It'll sell your home for as little as a 2% commission. The icing on the cake with the ideal agent was that we saved $12,000 in commission.
They were so stress-free. The whole process was amazing, and I would definitely recommend them.
We are not a discount brokers. These are top. Two things that should.
Fighters in boxing puts his perfect record and super middleweight title on the line against Caleb Truax, January 30th on Fox and Fox Sports app. Well, at age 83, Tom Brady has made his 14th conference championship in 21 years. Not only has Brady done it in the first season with a new team, but he will also become the first ever QB to start a conference championship game in 3 different decades. That's crazy. Shannon is getting the Bucs to the NFC Championship being Brady's greatest achievement.
No, because that's not how he's judged. When you reach the level of his greatness, and he's historically great, you put him up there with the Jordans, whatever the sport may be, Skip, whoever the great players in the sport, the Messis, they judge by World Cup.
Here, I don't want to listen to Jennifer Lopez anymore.
Well, that was great. The sun is
That
shining.
was great.
And Mr. President-elect, this is the first inauguration in the history of America where J-Lo was the warm-up act for Chief Justice Roberts. With that, it is now my distinct honor to introduce the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, John Roberts, to admit Biden.
The oath of office followed by musical honors.
They got a crying baby up there. That's fine.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. Office of President of the United States. And will.
Oh, he's forgetting stuff, dude.
Will, to the best of my ability, preserve,
He's gonna have to do this again.
Protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Constitution of the United States. So help you God. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
All right, that's it. Wherever Trump is, it sounds like he's not the president anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
I want to hear Biden's speech, so let's kind of get on with that, all right? Bill Clinton's looking for victims. What are we waiting for here? Okay.
My fellow American, for it is now
That's
my
fine.
great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce
Nice. Good job. Get up there, Joe. Remember.
Chief Justice Roberts, Vice President Harris,
That's her name.
Speaker Pelosi, Leader Schumer, Leader McConnell, Vice President Pence, my distinguished guests, my fellow Americans. This is a day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested and America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people has been heard, and the will of the people, democracy is precious. Democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed. So now, on this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation. Transfer of power.
That's something Obama said.
For more than 2 centuries.
Oh, that's a lot.
As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold, optimistic, and set our sights on a nation we know we can be and we must be. I thank my president. I thank him from the bottom of my heart. And I know the resilience of the Constitution and the strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot be with us today, but whom we salute for his lifetime in service. Each of those patriots have taken the oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union, who storm and strife, in peace and in war. We've come so far, but we still have far to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now.
Right. Okay.
Once in a century virus
that silently stalks the country. It's taken its men forward too. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer.
He's gone now. I mean, come on.
Survival comes from the planet itself. A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear now. A rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism that we must confront and we will defeat. There's so much more than words. Unity. In another January, on New Year's Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." In America together, uniting our people.
Boy, I really hope this. I really hope that that.
Every American
I really hope that works out for you.
Uniting to fight the foes we face. Anger, resentment and hatred, extremism, lawlessness, violence, disease, joblessness, and hopelessness.
Yeah.
With unity, we can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people
Ted
to work
Cruz.
in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make healthcare secure for all. We can racial justice, and we can make America once again a leading force for good in the world. I know speaking of unity can sound to some like a foolish fantasy these days. I know the force, but I also know they are not new. That we're all created equal, and the harsh that racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured. Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggles, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward. And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge. And unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed. in America. We've acted together.
Whoa.
And so today,
Well, we acted together.
this time,
Now,
in this place,
yeah, okay.
let's start afresh. All of us. Let's begin to listen to one another again. Hear one another. See one another. Show respect to one another. Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated.
Zoom on. Tons. I mean,
Fellow Americans, we have to be different than this. America has to be. And I believe America is so much better than this. Just look around. Here we stand in the shadow of the Capitol dome, as was mentioned earlier, completed amid the Civil War, when the Union itself was literally hanging in the balance. Yet we endured, prevailed. Here we stand, looking out on the great mall after King spoke of his dream. Here we stand, where 108 years ago, at another inaugural, thousands of protesters tried to block brave women marching for the right to vote. And today, we mark the swearing in of the first woman in American history elected to national office, Vice President Kamala Harris. Don't tell me things can't change. Here we stand, across the Potomac from Arlington Cemetery, where heroes who gave the last full measure of devotion rest in eternal peace. And here we stand, just days after a riotous mob thought they could use violence to silence the will of the people, to stop the work of our democracy, to drive us from this sacred ground. It did not happen. It will never happen. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not ever. To all those who supported our campaign, I'm humbled by the faith you place in us. To all those who did not support us, let me say this. Hear my heart. If you still disagree, so be it. That's democracy. Greatest strength. You hear me clearly. Disagreement must not lead to disunion. And I pledge this to you. I will be a president for all Americans. All Americans. And I promise you, I will fight as hard for those who did not support me as for those who did. Many centuries ago, St. Augustine, a saint in my church, wrote that a people was a multitude defined by the common objects of their love. Defined by the common objects of their love.
Coffee ran out.
What are the common objects we as we know?
And I already drank the soda today too, so.
Security, liberty,
17 ounce, 16.9 ounce Diet Coke.
Yes, the truth. Recent weeks and months have taught us a painful lesson. There is truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and for profit. And each of us has a duty and a responsibility as citizens, as Americans, to protect our nation, to defend the truth and defeat the lies. Look, I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future with fear and trepidation.
Yep.
I understand they worry about their jobs. I understand, like my dad, they lay in bed at night staring at the ceiling, wondering, can I keep my health care? Can I pay my mortgage? Thinking about their families, about what comes next. I promise you I get it. But the answer is not to turn inward, to retreat into competing factions, or don't get their news from the same sources you do. We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts, if we show a little tolerance and humility, and if we're willing to stand in the other person's shoes, as my mom would say, just for a moment, stand in their shoes. Because here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days, when you need a hand, there are other days we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. That's what we do for one another. And if there's more ready for the future, and we can still disagree, my fellow Americans, in the work ahead of us, we're going to need each other. We need all our strength to persevere through this dark winter. We're entering what may be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation. One nation. And I promise you this, as the Bible says, we will do this together. Together. Look, folks, all my colleagues I serve with in the House and the Senate up here, we understand the world is watching all of us today. So here's my message to those beyond our borders. America has been tested, and we've come out stronger for it. We will repair our alliances and engage with the world once again. Not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's challenges. Okay. And we'll lead. We'll be a strong and trusted partner in this nation. And my first act as president last year to the pandemic, those 400,000 fellow Americans, moms, dads, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and co-workers. We'll honor them for becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. So I ask you, for the lives of those left behind and for our country. Amen. Folks, this is a time of testing. We face an attack on our democracy and on truth. A raging virus, growing America's role in the world. Any one of these would be enough to challenge us in profound ways. But the time for boldness, for there is so much to do. And this is certain. I promise you, we will be judged, you and I, by how we resolve these cascading crises of our era. We will rise to the occasion is the question. Will we master this rare and difficult hour? Will we meet our obligations and pass along a new and better children? I believe we must. I'm sure you do as well. I believe we will. And when we do, we'll write the next great chapter in the history of the United States of America, the American story. A story that might sound something like a song that means a lot to me. It's called American Anthem. There's one verse, century have brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Let's add, if we do this, then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best. They did their duty. They healed the broken land. I give you my word. I will always level with you. I will defend the Constitution. I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America. And I'll give all, not a personal interest, but the public good. And together we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, unity, not division, of light, not darkness. A story of decency and dignity, love and healing, grace. May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come that we answer the call of history. We met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die in our watch but thrived. That America secured liberty. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, and devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, America.
All right. I think the point, there we go.
Joseph Robinette Biden has been sworn in and assumed the office of the presidency, the 46th president of the United States, the oldest man ever to assume the presidency at 78 years old.
Geez, 78?
Delivering a speech.
God, older than Ronald Reagan.
In American history, the new chapter in American history, saying it's time for Americans to come together in common cause.
He said we must end this uncivil war. He noted that democracy has prevailed, noting the attack on the Capitol 2 weeks ago. He says there's been an attack on democracy and the truth.
Oh, Garth Brooks is coming. You gotta get, you know what I mean? Country.
Then say I was lost, but now I found. Was blind, but
now when we as the sun. We've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. If I can ask you to sing this last verse with me, not just the people here, but the people at home, the work.
Really?
As one, united. House was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Shake her hand, Garth Brooks, let's go. The man in the black hat.
Garth Brooks performing for the crowd there over the on the west front of the Capitol. Moments ago, we heard the inauguration.
Oh, he hugged Hillary and Bill Clinton. He really went for it.
President.
Oh my
A new
God.
era and a new day in Washington as the Constitution decreed at 12 noon the term.
Don't run, dude. Somebody from the Secret Service is going to tackle you.
And there's a new president and vice president, President Biden.
And that same song at the Mother Emanuel Church. So our culture is as close to both poetry and prayer as you can possibly come.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And we're going to finish with those
Nicely
two things.
done.
Let me introduce Amanda Gorman, our nation's first ever National Poet Laureate.
All right, this guy's wiping the countertop down. Here she comes. She's going up there. She's short, but she's got a thing to step on.
Mr. President, Dr. Biden, Madam Vice President, Mr. Emhoff, Americans, and the world. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what just is, isn't always just is. And now we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country in a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gaze not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put answer first. We must first put our differences aside. We close the divide because we lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true. That even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that
even as we tire, we try that we'll never be
It was
tired
nice.
because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone is so. If we're to look up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promise to glade, the hill we climb if only we dare it. Because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen, of course, that our country, if it meant the